We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
You are listening to The Underground Marketing Conspiracy, a secret ritual where entrepreneurs acquire highly classified and confidential business knowledge that the top 1% of income earners don't want you to know. And now, your host, Maddie Milligan.
Gabur, my fellow conspirator and conspirators. Welcome to another episode of The Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo! Today I do want to be serious though and talk about the dark side of entrepreneurship. And I was skimming through Instagram about a week ago and I saw this post and it shared some statistics about entrepreneurs and really their mental health. And you've probably seen all sorts of things where entrepreneurs seem like these glamorous, almost James Bond-like personas where they're absolutely perfect and they've made all these amazing decisions and they're living this billionaire playboy lifestyle. They're huge philanthropists as well, and they seem like the coolest people in the entire world, right? And obviously they have so much money, so they wear these awesome clothes and you see them with gorgeous other people and they look so freaking cool. But in a lot of cases, you might not know what's happening in their lives, right? You might not know that they have things happening personally to them. Maybe their business, they have hundreds of headaches because every single business has flaws at every point, and the person in charge of everything always has a million things to worry about. So there's all sorts of pressure. And a lot of people, unfortunately, can't take that. And I just want to share a few of these stats with you before we really move forward. And just the quote itself says, "The dark side of entrepreneurship. Having your own business can be fun, but due to the risk and insecurities entrepreneurs are 2x more likely to suffer from depression, 6 times more likely to suffer from ADHD, 3 times more likely to suffer from substance abuse, 10 times more likely to suffer from bipolar disorder, 2 times more likely to have a psychiatric hospitalization, 2 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts." And then finally ends with, "If you have friends / family / know people who are trying to make it, be supportive. They already have enough things to deal with." And it swore there, but whatever. Anyways, so you can see all sorts of issues that entrepreneurs have, right? All sorts of psychological things that they're dealing with in their business, right? Maybe they're worried about scaling their business. Maybe they've plateaued and they want to have that breakthrough and take everything to the next level. They're not sure how to do this. Maybe they had a partner or an employee embezzle money from them, do something fraudulent. Maybe they have issues with the bank that they're working with. I know that's an issue with a lot of people, or their merchant account as well. Maybe they had a lot of chargebacks and they're worried about losing their merchant account, or they loaned some money or took a cash advance from the bank or some sort of loan shark and they're worried about paying it back. They're worried about not having enough money to spend than their competitors. Maybe their competitors brought a new product into the marketplace that's better than theirs, right? Maybe they've been working so much that they're having issues at home with their loved ones, whether it's their kids or their spouse. And again, that stuff really causes people to, in some cases, lose their minds and drink a lot. And one thing I heard when I watched Mad Men that Don Draper said was that working in the advertising world, it's a 24-hour-a-day job. You're thinking about it constantly, right? Especially with me as a copywriter, when I need to come up, for example, with the big idea that I talk a lot about for a campaign, like the main thing we're going to go with, right? The thing that's going to hold everything together and that's going to make it a home run. Coming up with that takes a lot of time, and you're thinking about it constantly, right? You're thinking about what's the idea going to be, how are you going to run with it, and then finally, you just can't put pressure on yourself. It eventually comes, and then you can just bang out the rest of the campaign actually pretty quickly, right? But it's all about, again, figuring out that one idea. So you're constantly thinking about it, right? And that doesn't include all the other things in business that I personally worry about, right? Like, cash flow, if there's going to be any technical issues, just communication issues, whatever it is, that's something that I stress out about. And I think over the years, I've become actually like mentally strong just by overcoming some things. But when you look at these stats, there really isn't any sort of organization out there, I don't think, that deals specifically with mental health for entrepreneurs. And that's something that I probably would like to start in the future, some sort of foundation or charity where it really just makes people more aware of that, right? And a lot of people, when they see, again, entrepreneurs, right, they see these people who are at the top of everything. I think they really need to understand that those people are different than everyone else, right? When you go to talk to them about kind of water cooler talk, they're not going to be as entertained, right? When you try to talk to them about the weather or sports, they have a million other things, right? There's a really great book I recommend by Alex Sharfin called The Entrepreneurial Personality Type, and it gives you a good idea into really the mind of someone who wants to solve problems and really wants to make something of themselves. And it's hard as an entrepreneur to relate to, I don't want to call them like normal people, but I guess just people who are working 9-to-5 jobs or really have never owned their own business before. It's hard to relate to those people in a lot of cases because just the small talk is not necessarily the same kind of things you want to talk about, right? Maybe you want to talk about big things. Like me personally, I'm into very weird niche things and I want to talk about those all day, right? I'm still into some mainstream stuff like movies and really good TV shows, not like network TV shows, but like HBO and AMC stuff and some Netflix stuff. But I don't spend that much time watching TV, to be honest. I just do it from time to time with friends or when I really just need to escape and do some thinking and really just expand my horizons and my imagination. When I want to see what other people have done and really just stimulate my imagination, that's when I consume that stuff. But I heard something too from a copywriter recently, which I found very interesting, right? Where I think it goes along the lines of the best part of being a copywriter is that, or a freelance copywriter, the best part of being a freelance copywriter is that you can work from anywhere, you don't have a boss, and you can do it while you're alone. And then he said, the worst part of being a freelance copywriter is that you can work from anywhere, you don't have a boss, and you can do it alone. And that really struck a chord with me, right? Where it's like, whoa, like that's so true, right? You need to think of the perspective, because I used to work at a job where remotely, I would be like, oh, working remotely is super sweet. I can just work the hours that they say, and then from there I can just do whatever I want, and that way I don't have to commute because I hate commuting to work every day. But there were other people who really liked, or who didn't like that, with like, oh man, I really want to be somewhere. Like I like waking up in the morning and going somewhere. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting perspective to have. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting way that they live their life as well, right? And one thing I found that a lot of entrepreneurs don't do is they're terrible with these things. They're not good at taking care of their physical health, which is one of the main, I think, leading causes as well of their mental health, right? So they don't move enough. They're not getting any sort of physical exercise, whether that's cardio, like running or going on the bike or swimming, or they're not lifting weights at the gym. Even then, they're probably eating garbage food that's absolutely terrible for them as well, so they don't have their nutrition in check. But then there's the other things, right? And this has been something I personally have been into recently. You can call it whatever you want, like biohacking. There's like the Wim Hof method. There's the light diet I think I've talked about before. But this is really making sure that you're getting enough sleep, right? Making sure that you're sweating out toxins. Making sure that you're exposing yourself to cold a lot, right? Because that stuff is actually good for you. A lot of people think that being really hot and really, really cold is not good for you, but in fact, studies and science has proven that it actually is beneficial for you. Making sure that you're getting adequate sunlight every single day, right? If you work indoors, you need to get minimum like 20 minutes of direct sunlight to your exposed skin and inside of your eyes. And I find that a lot of people I see, just in general, like the general population, everyone always has sunglasses on and they're afraid of the sun and they're wearing sunscreen, and I'm very pale, but I've been going outside recently, even when it's cold, and just getting direct sunlight to my upper body, right? Taking off my shirt, just going outside, and I feel really good after, honestly. And when you kind of combine all of those things, you just start to feel better. So it improves your decision-making process. I find that I'm a lot less likely to get stressed, a lot less likely to feel depressed and get down on myself when things don't necessarily turn out. And I don't know, I just feel a lot more present as well. One thing that I do as well with my workstation is sometimes I'll light incense, sometimes I might have some sort of essential oils going. But one thing I have is these Eckhart Tolle presence cards, and I have them in front of me, and they just have these little sayings as well, right? So that way, if I'm thinking of, if I get, he calls it the pain body, right? It's like this thing that just kind of attacks you. It's kind of like when you have a panic attack, or I guess you're triggered by something and you get a negative emotion. Having these cards in front of me just really helps me escape that, right? And really is just like, okay, like get out of the way of your ego, just relax, everything's going to be okay. Just have that quick minute where you put everything back into perspective. And honestly, when something good happens, I'll grab these cards as well, because it's like, all right, I really want to appreciate the good feeling in this moment, right? And so that when I have a bad moment, I can always remember that, you know what, there's going to be something good happening in the end, right? And those are a few tips that I would really recommend if you are an entrepreneur yourself. And I think that organizing your time as well and making sure that you're spending adequate time doing each of those things is important. Also, one thing I like to do is in my calendar is I'll put in smiling time sometimes per week, right? If I know I'm like feeling kind of down, I'll be like, you know what, let's put in some smiling time, right? Some laughing time, so that I can actually actively do those things and remember that I'm not taking everything so seriously. So one of my favorite quotes, though, that I really want to end on is by Jack Ma, who is the CEO of Alibaba, which is, today it'll rain, tomorrow it's going to rain even harder, but the day after tomorrow there's going to be sunshine. So remember that wherever you are, if you're in one of those negative states of mind, if you're feeling super anxious about the future, if you're regretting the past, whenever you're in a negative emotion and you are an entrepreneur, just remember that things are always going to turn out better, right? Like, it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be the day after that, but if you just keep at it long enough, then eventually you will have that day with sunshine. Hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Underground Marketing Conspiracy. And of course, I'm your boy, Matty Milligan. Have yourself an awesome day. Woo!